Feels like I got shit in my mouth every time I see Biden with his mask nappy on. Double masking. They act like going maskless at the deli is equivalent to me barebacking with Andy Dick after getting acupuncture in Portlandia's Doze Off Wall Park. Holla! Thank you very much! Got my vaccination retorts. Got my vaccination. Democracy is dead, so what difference does it make? Holla! Thank you very much! This is the Doodle Daddier podcast. Dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Obviously, I'm completely full of shit for saying that I would never do any political material ever again, but I really mean it this time. God, strike me down with lightning moving forward. Just had to get that out of my system. I'm not even going to write double downing on population control in honor of that double masking joke. Holla! Thank you very much! Again, this is the Doodle Daddier podcast. Dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids' economy can make our kids great again. My 3 fuss-free kids, 99% of the time, are living proof of it. And this is the shoe salesman's son. I used to dress like you, the dapper 17-year-old shoe salesman says at the Nordstrom store located in New Westchester in White Plains, New York. Baby boomer grandpa replies, actually, that's why I'm here. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona now with my wife. I don't mind the heat, plus everything's very casual in Arizona. So I never feel compelled to dress up anymore either, which includes my wife too. She didn't even bother brushing her teeth the one time we had a whole year to get ready for our first Skype call with our granddaughter back east. I could literally see my wife's Dunkin' Donuts breath fog up the screen during our chat. Me, I'm still sporting the same pair of ashy tennis slacks from '86, according to my firstborn. What's the point in dressing up fancy anymore? Unless we're going out to dine out in Arizona for Italian and pretend the food is barely edible again. Compared to our old haunt, Carmine's, not the actual Carmine's on Broadway, but we call this place Carmine's because I knew the owner, off the Grand Concourse in the Bronx, which served the best veal stuffed prosciutto and a white wine mushroom sauce ever. Now my wife insists she'll let me die alone in the August Arizona sun if I don't stop dressing like a schmutzy baby boomer bum. It's bad enough how my firstborn calls me a fake news hippie for never visiting the Grand Canyon after living in Arizona for 9 years, despite my Bob Dylan collection being more eclectic than most. The Nordstrom shoe salesman's son says, I actually prefer Dylan's later work on The Tempest, Soon After Midnight, Pay in Blood, Long and Wasted Years, Roll on John. Forget about it. It deserved all 5 stars it got in Rolling Stone. Modern Times wasn't chopped liver either. Working Man's Blues chokes me up a little inside because it makes me think of my dear dad every time. I never outgrew calling him Dada despite being 17 already. Baby boomer grandpa says, my dad never bonded with me over Bob Dylan. He just called me an idiot for struggling with pre-calculus more than my brainier Jewish friends who attended Bronx Science instead. The shoe salesman's son says, my dad had jammed all the Bob Dylan folklore down my throat ad nauseum. Bob Dylan was a member of the Latin Club in high school. He's an amateur boxer. Was a huge mural in his Malibu estate home with Jerry Garcia to prove jam bands matter. The Grateful Dead did a killer version of Visions of Johanna, in addition to refusing Bob Dylan's offer to join the band, allowing Dylan to tour with them as the opening act after recording an album called Dylan and the Dead wasn't enough for Robert Zimmerman from Minnesota because baby boomer arrogance never dies. Got it, Dada. Baby boomer grandpa says, I never got into the Grateful Dead personally, although seeing them perform with the Allman Brothers and the band at Watkins Glen would have been worth the trip on bad acid for it. Shoe salesman's son says, so tell me why your wife is a chronic pain in the ass again? Refusing to dress up for her these days, it makes me think you're trying to get back at her for hogging the blankets for the past 50 years or for playing slovenly favorites with your 2 sons. I'm assuming. You tell me. I just want to know why dressing up for your golden years, free of financial worry in Scottsdale, Arizona, or free from any nagging subconscious desire to reconnect with your sons on a deeper, more meaningful level, besides trying to convince your firstborn why LeBron James is a greater player than Michael Jordan, despite the king of the persecution complex never having to play with a broken back like Larry the Legend back in the day when he beat Magic's Lakers with mind-melting behind-the-back passes and consistently clutch jump shots, which never were confused for line drive chucks either. Baby Boomer Grandpa says, it's not as if my wife is spending hours getting lost at the local Sephora store to stock up on new makeup items either. But if I'm honest with myself, the real reason I'm not dressing up anymore these days is because I'm an old Jew who only got dressed up in the past for synagogue or work because I had to. Granted, wearing nice suits to work when I used to work as a VP of sales for a packaging company in New Jersey made me feel like hot shit and better about myself. But that was the 80s, before Steve Jobs started rocking the Grandma Jean Casual Friday look. I think the Beatles are vastly overrated too, especially compared to the Rolling Stones. Name one rocker by the Beatles which would make your life feel complete if you got to hear that one song in person. Back in the 60s, assuming it represented a time where the crowd noise decibel never got too loud to the point where the Fab Four couldn't hear their own voices singing, which is a pretty crazy testimonial that is hard to replicate. At the same time, Ferris Bueller singing Twist and Shout on a float in the loop of downtown Chicago doesn't count either. Shoe Salesman Son says, my dear Dada was always more of a John Lennon fan. Watching the Wheels and Working Class Hero being his most liked songs by the Liverpool Lip when he used to look after me during my younger stay-at-home pre-K years. Baby Boomer Grandpa says, I never bonded over rock and roll with my dad. I did get my first born into Dylan, though. He even bought us tickets to see Levon Helm, part-time singer and drummer from the band, at one of his midnight rambles in Woodstock once. Positive my son snuck off into the woods to puff a one-hitter, too. It's better than doing more blow and only hearing last call from the bathroom stall like my youngest. Shoe Salesman Son says, have you gone to any rock concerts together with your firstborn since? Baby Boomer Grandpa says, none. I took him to an Arizona Diamondbacks game in Phoenix once. He talked up a storm as usual with a long-haired lawyer next to us who came for money, I think. I recall the lawyer going out of his way to tell me what an impressive brain my son had. And I thought all of my acid usage in college resulted in more synapse incineration deterioration than others. Starting that Bob Dylan Record Review Club with my firstborn Joshua wasn't the worst idea he came up with either. I should call him now, don't you think? Shoe Salesman Son says, sure, unless you want to die a distant father with an aching gash that feels like a corkscrew in your heart. Bob Dylan lives. Holla! Thank you very much! My dad is no longer a stay-at-home dad, but a big-time comedian now. That's his catchphrase he uses on his Dude All Dad Year podcast and on stage during his residency in Vegas now too. Dad had told me if college doesn't interest me, I could always stay home longer, but get a job in sales that offered commission so I'd understand the empowering, momentous surge derived from incentivized, performance-based jobs, which make you feel on top of the world, in charge again. Baby Boomer Grandpa says, give me 2 pairs of those Echo shoes, one in navy and one in white, size 8. Those hipster kicks should tone down my wife's bitching for a bit. Thanks for pressing me to reconnect with my firstborn on a deeper, longer lasting level this time around. He's still trying to make it as a writer. Who knows? Maybe we can write a book together called Bonding Through Writing Dylan Record Reviews with Dad. What? Only Bob Dylan is allowed to be a wordy Jew without being persecuted for it? The end. And I'll talk to you guys soon.